building your artist's brand to ensure long-term success. One common mistake with artists starting out is that they simply create art with no vision, no theme, nor a clear target audience in mind. They'll work on whatever kinds of art styles or themes they feel like doing for the day. What usually ends up happening is that they either have a difficult time gaining followers, or they don't get very much engagement with their artworks. Worse, their existing followers may end up unfollowing them. The solution to this problem is simple. The most important part of your long-term success as an artist is having a strong brand. Now, what is a brand? A brand is more than just a handle name we use for ourselves. It is also a way for us to differentiate our artworks and styles from the millions of other artists, and to present our identity and personality to other people. Branding is a way for us to stand out from the whole sea of artists, and establish our identity through the art styles, themes, and the audience we want to connect. Let's take a look at a few examples of real-world brands. What's the first thing that comes to your mind when you hear the word soft drinks? Coke and Pepsi would come to mind immediately. Now, what about computers? Without much thinking, you would have answered Microsoft or Apple. Now try this one. What's the first thing that comes to mind with Japanese animations? A strong brand will help your audience and visitors connect with you and your artworks. This will help you build your empire of dedicated followers, which will slowly grow as you create more content and artworks for your page. The stronger and more established your brand becomes, the more it will strongly resonate with other people in the world. Eventually, extremely strong brand names become verbs themselves. You often hear the verb Googling, which means search online. There are 4 important points to consider when building a brand. Number 1, naming your brand. A brand can either be your real name or a fictitious name. Some examples of real-life brands that uses real names are Tony Robbins, Lindsay Sterling, and Gordon Ramsay. However, for artists and creators, it's generally advisable that you use a fictitious or brand name. There are a few reasons to this. First of all, people might have a hard time remembering your name, especially if it is hard to pronounce or spell. There might be few exceptions, such as Arnold Schwarzenegger, but those instances are very rare. The opposite for this reason is true. What if your name were John Smith? There are millions of John Smiths around the world, and it will be difficult for people to find you. The second reason is that you may want to bring yourself to a different genre, market, or niche in the future. Consider this example. J.K. Rowling has finished writing stories and wanted to start writing stories for a crime fiction genre. If she were to still use her real name after she just finished writing Harry Potter, people will still have certain expectations towards the theme and the writing of her upcoming books. In this case, she used the pen name Robert Galbraith in order to remove those expectations. Well, unfortunately, her cover was blown. Number 2, target audience. Another thing to consider when building a brand is, who is your target audience? Figuring out who your audience is will give you a better idea on how you create your artworks. You'll be able to tap into them and figure out how they think, what they like, and what they value together in common. That way you'll be able to strongly connect with them and be able to give them what they're looking for. And no, everybody is not a valid target audience. Having a too generic target will cause your products to water down, and you'll have trouble getting real dedicated fans. At the end of the day, there's one very important lesson you must know. You cannot please everybody. Number 3, your brand identity. In short, what is your brand about? Another good rule in a brand is that you should be able to explain what you do and what makes you unique in 1 or 2 sentences. If you struggle, your focus might be too diluted and you might need to dig deeper into finding a true essence for your brand. A great way to find out if you have a strong brand identity is to ask a friend to describe what your art brand is about. If they're able to explain to you what you're doing in a few sentences, then you have a strong brand. If they struggle, then you might need to reevaluate. Remember, the most important part of your brand is creating amazing artworks focused on what you want to be identified with. Trying to tackle too many things at once will water down the quality of your works, and you'll have a harder time attracting truly dedicated fans to your art. Number 4, consistency. Once you have your brand established, make sure you remain consistent with it. That way, people will always know what to expect once they visit your page. You're free to mix it around with a few unrelated content, such as exploring other art styles or themes, but don't get too carried away. Otherwise, you risk losing your dedicated followers. Can you imagine Coke suddenly designing its own shoes to compete against Nike? Remember, your brand is your ultimate competitive advantage. Make sure you establish it well and stay consistent with it. That way, people will be able to associate your brand with something they love, and in time, you'll have yourself an army of dedicated fans who truly love what you're doing. Think, reflect, action. Who am I as an artist? Am I focused on a particular niche or art style? What kind of art am I passionate about in making? Will it make me happy doing these? How do I want other people to remember me for? What kind of people would love these kinds of art or style? Where do I find them? Feel free to share your answers in the comment section below. If you love this video, don't forget to like and subscribe for more amazing content. See you next time.